I think there are more outlets covering movies than movies are made in a year.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But we have
crazy.
gotten to that point where just about anybody can have some sort of broadcast.
Yeah, anybody can start a podcast, and this is proof.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Anthony Ray-Bench here doing the intro for today's episode. I'm super bummed that I'm not actually on today's show because Chris is interviewing Carrie Keagan and filmmaker Staci Layne Wilson about their independent feature film Fetish Factory. Fortunately, I'm out of town right now dealing with some family stuff. I'm actually recording this in my car. It's very cold outside and very rainy. I'm sure a lot of you remember Carrie from her G4 days with Chris. I always loved her Power Girl segments because I'm a big comic book nerd and I thought she was hilarious in them. She co-hosted a bunch of episodes of Attack of the Show, and she's also done a ton of stuff for E! And VH1 as well. Carrie has teamed up with Staci on Fetish Factory, which is a post-apocalyptic movie with zombies and burlesque dancing, and that sounds fucking awesome. But before we get to that interview, I just want to remind you all to check out filmthreat.com daily for the latest news, reviews, interviews, and features. There's lots of great stuff there that you don't want to miss. Also, please support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/filmthreat. You can get some really cool things, including digital copies of every single old school issue of Film Threat magazine from back in the day. Now, with that out of the way, here's Chris Gore interviewing Carrie Keagan and Staci Layne Wilson.
I'm so excited that both of you are here.
I know. We haven't been in the same alcove together for quite a while, right?
It has been a lot of years, which is stupid.
A lot of years. We just saw each other last year.
So this reunion...
All of us.
All of us
that's
together.
right. Actually, yeah, because I haven't seen you in years, although I did see you at the Sharknado, the last Sharknado.
That's true.
I saw you at the premiere. Briefly, you were red carpet, and I was just like...
very busy, Chris.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't. I was trying to get popcorn, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw Chris at, which one was it, the A24 party?
The
right?
A24, but that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, open bar. Gotta love it.
Well, first of all, let me welcome to the podcast the chief creative team behind Fetish Factory. Fetish Factory, the movie, now streaming on Amazon. The lovely Carrie Keagan.
Hello.
And the lovely Staci Layne Wilson.
Hello.
And welcome to the Film Threat podcast.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Oh my God! There's too much to talk about, and I want to talk about. I mean, just because I haven't seen you since Attack of the Show ended. Really, I mean,
That's
we
what
haven't
I'm saying. It's been years. We haven't hung out really since then.
No,
which is dumb.
It is dumb. It is dumb, especially in a town where
we probably hang out at the same places,
exactly
right downstairs.
I don't see anyone from Los Angeles except when I leave Los Angeles. Like if I go to Atlanta or if I go to, say, Park City, Utah, Sundance, then I see everyone I know in LA, and we say, oh, let's get together, and then we come back and don't do that.
Yeah, that is what happens. I was at Sundance this year.
You were?
I'm going again next year, too. Look how that worked out for us.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Well, I will be at Sundance as well.
Okay, good. So see you there, or not see you there.
Yeah, well, no, I will see you there, because I know that you like to go to the parties, as do I.
I like to do some things, yeah.
Yeah, well... Cool. Well, and Staci, I've known you I don't remember how we met, but all I know is you were the cool chick at every press event because you always had just the most outrageous fun fashion sense.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Well, nobody can see it right now, but except you two. I am wearing a Betty Page t-shirt in honor of Carrie's character in Fetish Factory.
That's a really good shirt, too.
Right?
Yeah, but every time I go to a press event, I always be like, oh, wow. There's that cool Staci Wilson.
Staci's always got the best shoes.
With the shoes or some cute skirt that I know, wait a sec. Am I allowed to say stuff like this now? I feel
Not
like
anymore. More than allowed to say things like this.
Thank God, thank you.
You should definitely say things like this.
But you just always would have something just outrageous and noticeable, and just also with a seeming sense of humor, and also sort of wearing your pop culture passions on your sleeve.
This is true.
Yeah, and so, well, that's what I always love about you. You know,
well, I remember though, the original Film Threat. I always loved that, and so getting to meet you was a thrill, and so I am happy to be here.
Okay.
all these years later.
Oh my God!
My
What
God.
a little love fest we're having right
Well,
now.
this is weird. This doesn't always happen. But first of all, I'm going to take that audio clip of meeting me with a thrill. I'm just going to make that my ringtone when you call me.
Okay.
So, wow. So yeah, no, but just you and we're talking before we even started recording how like you need to kind of have a diversified. You have to diversify your career portfolio. In the sense of you're doing podcasts, you're doing articles, you're writing this, you're doing a book, both of you. It's the first time. This is the first time. There are 3 authors on this podcast right now.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all of us are authors.
How cool are
Oh
we?
my God, I want to get a spectacle and a little cigarette. Like just, I don't know, I feel so smart.
How long did it take you to write yours?
God, the first one, it was like a year. It was a year. You know how, how long did it take you to write your book? And also for the audience listening, please.
Everybody
plug your book.
curses, I swear.
Yeah. I've seen it at Amoeba. I have to get it.
You saw it at Amoeba?
I just saw it at Amoeba.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was
didn't
like-
know I was there. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it was at Amoeba. I'll have to pick it up next
And
time
it's
I
an
go in.
audio book too, which I want to listen to because I already read the book, but you know.
She's so sweet. The audiobook is actually more fun, I think, because a lot of the book is transcriptions from my uncensored celebrity interviews. And so what I did for the audiobook, I read it myself, but also we put the real audio from the interviews in it. So it feels almost like a podcast, and it feels like you're in it with them.
Okay, I'm buying the audiobook.
Yeah.
I'm sort of an audiobook junkie too.
Me too.
It's just from a time, like I don't need to have my brain, my eyes just in front of another thing in a screen
Right.
and just to strain. I love to put on the audiobooks and just also it makes that traffic in LA so much more
So
easy
what
to
you're
handle.
saying is you're into oral.
I'm into aural, AURAL, if I'm spelling that correctly. Yes, I'm into aural. But no, I just, yeah, so, okay, good. So now that's a great plug for the audiobook because that is a book that I will now
Yeah.
pick up
So
on
that
audio.
the book took me about this is crazy, but it took about 4 years to write it.
Wow.
But mostly because what was happening while I was writing it was I was trying. I had a live VH1 morning show every day in New York, and so it's next to impossible to try and do anything else when you're doing a live daily show. And then, I mean, as you guys know, trying to write a book is kind of all-encompassing. You sort of have to just dive in and be surrounded and absorbed and
Yes,
drowned by
absolutely.
it. And so there was just almost no time to let that happen. So yeah, about 4 years, like 1 year of complete intensity after I left New York. But like the 3 years leading up to it was.
Well, it was worth the wait. I love
How
it.
long did it take you?
About that long, not a year of intensive, because I actually, it's my memoir called So LA, and it's about growing up in Los Angeles, and my father's a musician and my mother was a pinup model, so I had a really interesting, colorful childhood. But luckily, as a child, I kept journals and diaries and letters and stuff. So I had to go through all that stuff and sort of research my own life and to come up with what I did. And it's incredibly long, detailed book. And I too have an audiobook, but I didn't read my own because I'm not an actor. So I had someone.
Who read your book? Who read your book?
Her name is Kate Brannon, and she's really good. She speaks the way I wish I did. So it's the
can't
best
do it
of all
yourself,
worlds.
cast the best person for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it is definitely. It's funny how you kind of have to research your own life to write your memoir. But
Did you
that's
find
what
it
happened.
therapeutic? Because I realized
Oh,
that having to
absolutely.
go back and relive all of those moments.
Right.
Some of it
the
was
Bruce
great.
Willis moment.
Some of it was great.
Wait a second. Did you have a Bruce Willis? I have a Bruce Willis story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's put a pin in that because I want to get to that. But writing a memoir, that's something I'm actually working on a similar project. I'm writing a book called Film Threat Sucks, and it's about sort of my early movie geek time and then creating Film Threat magazine and then all the sort of trials and tribulations of the sort of rise and fall, mostly the fall part.
Rising again, though.
Existing, at a time
Okay.
where I think there are more outlets covering movies than movies are made in a
Right.
year.
Which is insane.
Yeah, it's
but we have
crazy.
gotten to that point where just about anybody can have some sort of broadcast.
Yeah, anybody can start a podcast, and this is proof. But yeah, so I'm going through that whole process, and it's really hard. I mean, I have a lot of stories that I've told the stories over and over again, but I don't want to tell the sort of recorded version of my brain. I actually want to delve a little deeper. Did you have processes for trying to
mine
do
was
that?
difficult because difficult in the sense that it covers an awful lot of ground. Not only is it my life story, but it's also the concurrent history of Los Angeles when I was growing up. So I was born in 1966, so I covered also when my parents came here in the early 60s, and to make it in Hollywood, which they did, luckily. And but so I covered their journey here from Washington State and what Hollywood was like back then. And my mother was also a journalist, a celebrity gossip columnist. So she, used to hang out and party with Judy Garland and the Kennedys and Paul Newman. So I told all those stories too. And then it leads up to my story and takes it from there all the way through to, a couple of years ago when I finished it. So it's a long journey, hopefully not too arduous for people to come along with.
Oh my God, I'm dying to read it because I moved to Los Angeles in '89, and it's changed a lot since '89. I can't imagine. I made a lot of friends with people who, knew LA in the 80s when there was a scene.
Oh yeah, I
There
came
was
of
just a lot.
age in the early 80s with the hair bands on Sunset Boulevard, and got to the Rainbow was my second home, and I had fake IDs so I could get into everywhere, and the Starwood and Gazzari's, and so also like speaking of the Starwood, I go into like the John Holmes murders that were happening at the time. So it's a lot about history of Los Angeles too,
Oh, I love that.
which I love.
Wow, I love that. Well, one of my favorite books, which I bought several times because every time I buy it, I end up just giving it to someone, is L.A. Bizarro.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah,
I love that book.
Yeah, it's on my shelf.
It's not a history of Los Angeles book, but it's a sort of a history of all of the most unusual places, like Clifton's Cafeteria and just all the bizarre places in L.A., from bookstores to bars to restaurants, strip clubs. I think Jumbo's Clown Room is in there.
Oh yeah, I've hung out there many a time. Well, maybe not
It's
hanging
changed
out
so much
figuratively,
over the
but
years,
yeah.
though.
Courtney Love used to work there.
That makes sense.
Yes. Well, I'll be there on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
It's a
All right.
tradition. It's a Gore family tradition to go to. I haven't been the last couple. No, you're looking at me with a quizzical look. It is the okay.
Because when this tradition started, it was not the place it is now.
Oh,
I'm
that's
guessing.
true. No, this is, it's one of those things where it's like every sort of like, okay, you're not with your family, so where do you go? You go to Jumbo's Clown Room. Now, just to be clear,
Obviously.
it's a bikini bar. It's a burlesque bar. Now it is. Oh, that's right. Yes. Back in the day.
It was where strippers went to die.
Yes, I did not want to get stabbed, so I did not go there back at the period that you're discussing.
The strippers literally had cobwebs.
Right? Yeah, that's
And I
true.
wouldn't actually drink anything from behind that bar. Those glasses were dirty. It's changed. It's
No.
a very clean and happy place
It's
now.
fun. What's weird is you see a lot of couples and groups of people. It's because
Oh yeah, I've had
it's a-
birthday parties there.
I had a
It's
birthday
great.
party.
Yeah.
I brought cupcakes for everyone in the bar.
They let you bring food in?
They let me bring cupcakes in. I said, "Can I bring these in?" But they're also for everybody, and just brought in like cupcakes.
So technically you catered Jumbos.
I catered Jumbos, but I also did a thing like one year where I brought in presents. Right, I took like all the sort of stuff that is just like you work as a journalist in this thing, you get sent a lot of things,
swag and stuff?
swag, and you're like, what am I going to do with this? So I wrapped it as presents, and instead of I did tip dollars, but I would put presents and it would just be like whatever, cool thing that I got. I don't know, and it's a
T-shirt from the
T-shirt,
90s movie.
right? A selfie light, just those things they send you. And I would put a present for every dancer. It was as if I gave them a $300 bill. It was
Wow.
insane. Like
It went over well?
they loved it.
That could have gone either way. You
No.
know that. They could have been like, dude, I want money. That's
Right.
why I'm here. I
Well-
need to pay my rent.
But so now I come in with like giant bags filled with wrapped gifts and just give them to the dancers, and it's super fun.
Oh my God, he turned into Santa Claus to the strippers.
Oh my God! First of all, I didn't think about that, but yes, I'm Santa Claus to the
Santa.
strippers.
Stripper Santa.
What am I doing?
So funny.
But I'll be there Christmas Eve for anyone who's listening to this podcast, and
Well,
for
maybe now I'm going to be there.
just bring a group of friends. It's super fun. But I'll tell you, if you don't get there before 10 p.m., there's a giant line. It's Christmas Eve at Jumbo's is a thing.
Wow.
So,
Good
which
to
is
know.
it's a perfect segue to talk about Fetish Factory, because Fetish Factory is
just happens to have burlesque in it.
it has to
It
have
does.
burlesque. And you as Betty Page, well, not as Betty Page, in a Betty Page inspired.
It's me as someone else as Betty Page.
Correct. Yes. But it's what would happen if a burlesque establishment was invaded by zombies. It's like this.
Which is kind of the best combination ever.
Right?
We've seen every zombie incarnation, and someone who has, I've fallen off on Walking Dead. I'm going to be honest. I was loyal watcher of it, and I have
I
fallen
fell off of that show probably season 2.
Yeah. Well,
Same here. Yeah.
You've saved your life, like, because see, this is the thing. There's zombies done right, which is the way you
Shaun
guys
of
have
the
done it. Yeah. Which is include nudity or brief. No, not nudity. There's no nudity. Actually,
No, it's saucy
in Fetish
and
Factory.
sexy, but it's not raunchy or salacious.
No.
I
There's
wouldn't
pasties.
say.
There's pasties.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of other
pasties.
things.
A
Right.
little twerking.
But I guess the
Oh
thing,
my God, Tristan's butt. Woo.
I know, right?
and I feel like I know most of the people that were in the movie.
Uh-huh.
I'm watching this going like, I know everybody in this film. There's Spooky Dan.
Yeah, that's the
right?
best thing about independent film in Hollywood is
Spooky.
you get to cast your friends and have fun and put it out there for the world to enjoy.
And I don't know if anybody would know this necessarily, but Staci's the first person to ever cast me as a lead role in a film.
Oh wow. Okay, this
Yeah.
is yeah.
I've been
The
in a
film
million
came
movies,
out, yeah,
but I've never
in
been
between.
a lead in a
Yeah.
film. And she
Wait.
called me up one day and was like, "Hey, so I have this idea. I'm going to make this movie. Do you want to be my Betty Page?" I was like, yeah. Wait, what does that mean? But yes, I'm in.
Wow, that's right. So you've been in a bunch of like what were some of your favorite
Super
parts?
bad, The Hangover. Like, just,
Right.
I've been in a million movies, but this
That's right. You pop up and I'll see. It's like, hey, I know. Yeah.
hey.
Yeah.
But this one, I got to do all the things that I never knew I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, she was really in pretty much every scene.
It was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
We
We
enjoyed
shot
that.
it in 5 days.
I was going to say,
Roger
it was the
Corman
fastest
style.
thing anyone's ever done.
Wow. Wow. So it was inspired by your love of burlesque and horror. It sort of combines
Absolutely,
everything
yeah.
that you love.
It does. I really got a lot of creative freedom. It's produced by Michael Biehn and his wife Jennifer Biehn, who's in the film as well.
Wait. The Michael Biehn?
The Michael Biehn.
Wow.
He showed up on set too. Are you jealous?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. He did. Wow. I mean, original Terminator,
I know,
Aliens.
yeah. He's fantastic, and he was not in the film, but he came to look at the monitor and check things out, and yeah, it was a tense day on set when he came in. Remember, everyone just kind of like,
Well, all of a sudden, like, no one was
Michael
watching,
Biehn
and all of a
is
sudden,
there,
Dad
yeah.
walks in. We're like, we're on our best behaviors. We haven't
Exactly.
anything.
But
Are we
he's
good?
great to work with. I made another movie with him and his production company the next year too, which is in post production now. But it was great. And yes, what was the original question?
Oh, no. Just like what was it? I mean, it's inspired by all your passions. You know?
Exactly. Well, like I said, my mom was a pinup model and a cheesecake model, and so I've always loved that kind of the Betty Page stuff. And there's another character inspired by Jane Mansfield, and there's a Susie Wong character and a Rosie the Riveter, and then we have our fetish for the guys who come to the backstage entertainment after the main attraction.
We're
And
such characters.
they are
yeah.
really
So
fun.
funny.
Yeah. The sort of weirdo crew, right?
yeah.
The guys that you would think would be regulars.
Yes, exactly. But it comes from that, like, I mean, I remember discovering Betty Page and the Irving Klaw films and that style of photography. There's sort of this is deviant, this is this is not, quote, normal.
Right. Well, the
whatever normal
proprietors
is.
of the Fetish Factory are Irma and Paul, which is sort of a Irving and Paula little wink.
Oh, that's a
so there's
nod
a lot
to
of
them.
little Easter eggs in there for the dirty-minded.
But what was also great about Irving Klaw's stuff and that Betty Page inspired stuff is how, like, it was deviant and innocence all at the same time.
Yeah, Betty Page always looked so sweet and like she was really happy to be there, no matter
Yeah.
what was happening,
That
even
is
with
what
the
made
ball
her
gag
really
in her
special,
mouth.
isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did look very happy to be there.
And I like that.
So
Which is why
and
she
that's-
cast me.
exactly.
was it fun to put on that wig and that outfit. I mean, you really,
She's got the bullet bra.
The bullet bra.
Just getting into the costume was way more fun than I even could dream that I could have. And Staci was funny. I've always wanted to have black hair and sort of be that sort of pin-up-y kind of thing, but I have never been able to for whatever reason. To transform into that and to put on that little leopard shimmy dress, and it was like, wow! I felt like it was cool. I understood then what it was like, as a first-time kind of real actress to really become a different person and to embody somebody else. It was very fun.
And what was this is the first where you are the lead. You're not in a part and then you're gone and we wish you were back. This is what was it in terms of the acting challenges for you? Because you also just have I feel like you could be dropped into any situation and just be entertaining. I mean, you're a force of nature when it comes to your personality. I've seen you.
Wow, thank you.
No, but what I mean is I've seen you work. I've seen you work it. And by that, I mean at the junket, we'd be there and you could take the most,
serious film and turn it potty mouth. Yeah,
right, exactly.
I know.
But you do it with such a charm that it's like, all right, I'm just gonna go with it. And you mentioned the Bruce Willis thing. There has to be something there.
Oh yeah, he broke my heart.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, it was a bad story.
Is it? Can you tell the story?
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's a whole chapter in my book, but it's a downer.
Oh,
I was the hugest fan of Bruce Willis growing up. He was the be-all, end-all, most perfect guy there could have ever been existing. And so when I finally got the chance to interview him, I prepped, I was ready, I was so excited, I was going to make him laugh, we were going to bond, he was going to be like, let's go to the bar and have a drink afterwards. I was down. This was going to be that moment. And it was kind of a serious film that I forgot what it was called now. Anyway, it was kind of a serious film that he was promoting, but that wasn't going to stop me because, I've done serious films before. We've made fun. We can make this about something else. It doesn't have to always be about the sad parts. And so I walked in there and sat down, and he's kind of stone-faced, but he was fine. But I sat down and I, for some reason, scrapped everything that I had prepared to do. And went for the stupidest dad joke ever, thinking that he was going to laugh hysterically. And he did not find me amusing in any way, so much so that he basically he was silent, shot daggers at me for what felt like 10 minutes, but was probably all of about 3 seconds. He got up and walked out.
What?
And the room just went silent.
Oh, no.
Even the guys that were running the room, the guys that are running the cameras or whatever, they were just you could feel the air just run out of the room. And then the publicist, poor thing, she had to come in. She's like, so your time is over and you won't be getting these tapes.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God, what did I just do? And by the way, it was the dumbest dad joke of all time. It was not offensive in any way. Only Bruce Willis, the biggest asshole on the planet, would have taken this joke offensively.
Wow.
Anyway, and he ruined me for months. I was shell-shocked. I could not go back and do interviews at all. There was a whole period of time where my poor business partner was like, okay, so this isn't the end of the world. You're gonna go back. I'm like, no, and I would just break down. I lost it because I lost all my confidence. There was a moment where it was I thought that I could walk into a room, any room, and just sort of make it my own, whatever.
You do that. You have that power.
Well, until I don't, and that's what happened. So fuck that guy.
Oh.
What ultimately ended up happening is I ended up coming back and doing interviews, and then my business partner was like, yeah, so you're going to interview Bruce Willis again. And I was like, over my fucking dead body, I'm never doing that again. He was like, no. You're going to do this because you have to face that. You have to just do it again. And it'll never feel the same way that it felt that first time.
So what happened the second time?
So I flew to New York. I walked in the room. I was panicking, cold sweat, the whole thing. I walked in the room. He had a baseball hat on, pulled really, really low. The room was very dark. He had a whiskey next to him. He didn't even look up. you get introduced when you walk in the room, and he didn't even flinch. And as soon as I started questioning him, I realized that not only did he not remember that day or that situation, but he doesn't remember anything. Like, he could have given two fucks about any of that. It was traumatizing to me to the point where I almost changed my career. But to him, it wasn't even a blip on the radar.
Wow.
And I just thought,
That puts things into perspective.
Yeah. So moving on. And thank God that I went back and did that, because it sort of just it closed that horrible trauma.
That's great. Well, let me cheer you up with a little something here. You have an acting award for Fetish Factory.
What? Oh, this is that thing.
Yes.
Oh, this is so cool.
That
so
is your
Zedfest,
certificate of achievement, framed and everything.
Look at that. I achieved. Are you jealous? You want to touch it a little bit?
I just love that this is a second podcast. It's another podcast first on this episode. The 3 authors. Now we have an award for acting being given on the podcast.
On the podcast. This is so cool.
Well, thank you for doing such a tremendous job. There is no one who could have played that role better than you. And I knew that when I cast you, because I know you and I know what, what your strengths are. And the character is a bit of a movie geek, kind of like you.
Which was also really funny. When I read
all the references.
Script,
right, yeah.
Staci knew exactly who this person was when she wrote it. I mean, all of them. I feel like I feel like you probably had all these people in mind when you were writing it.
I didn't really have it cast when I was writing it, but as it was coming together, it's like I know these people, so I kind of cherry-picked, luckily, and everyone I thought was tremendous in the film. There were a couple of people who I didn't know that Jennifer Blanc-Biehn cast, and they really knocked it out of the park. Like, I didn't even meet Daniel Quinn, who unfortunately passed away after we shot the film, so it's dedicated to him. He was amazing. He has an amazing body of work, but I never even met him before I was directing
him. If you watch
him.
Fetish Factory, he's got an amazing body as well.
Oh, well, hey. So, yeah, I mean, so really, I lucked out tremendously.
So did we, as the cast.
Yeah.
It was really fun. It was the best 5 days I've ever had.
Well, if this award does not convince you to check out Fetish Factory, I don't know what will.
Then the word fetish should.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's fun. I have a short Bruce Willis story. Mine's not as traumatic as yours, but you know how, like, because you've been on the junket. You know how the junket thing works.
Yep.
Yeah, you know how the junket thing works. You sit down and you're told you have, and I remember like how they would diminish the amount of time. It used to be like you have 8 minutes, you have 6 minutes. Now, when I stopped doing it, it was like you have 4 minutes. They would give you 4 minutes of time with the talent.
Just on that note, I've been flown to London then they tell me you have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Really? 90 seconds.
Like, you just flew me across the
right?
world so that you could give me 90 seconds of time. Okay, cool.
Well, Carrie,
Ridiculous.
remember the It Might Get Loud junket with Jimmy Page and Jack White, which is like basically the best day of our lives. Yeah, but it was mine was like a minute and a half. I was like, I'm going to have to interview Davis Guggenheim, Jimmy Page, who's been my idol since I was like 10, and Jack White, who I love. It's like, what? But
they literally let me in just so that I could say hi.
Yeah,
because I just wanted to.
Wasn't that crazy?
Make me sit here all day so that I can't meet them.
But I don't have a Bruce Willis story, but I want to hear yours, Chris.
It's the ridiculous part of this process, just to give it some context, is you want to establish a rapport with someone, right? You want to sit down, establish some rapport. It's either some innocuous joke or a thing you mention or whatever. You want to be disarming and then launch into your written questions on your card, taking it all very seriously. But I sat down, it was Bruce Willis, it was some science fiction movie. I forget what it was.
Was it the one about the people that were they were sleeping while their doppelgangers were out doing something?
The sort of
I remember that,
yeah. So that was the movie.
Right.
And it was when the financial crisis had occurred. And I sat down and asked a very innocuous question related to the film. But there was a palpable tension in the room when I came in. I mean, normally you'll see the camera people and the makeup person. They're all like in a good mood. It's, we're just having fun. And we're just doing these fun interviews. Sat down and asked my innocuous question about the movie, not about his personal life, not about anything else, asked a legit question about the film. And he goes, well, the question I want answered is what happened to all this money? all this like money in this financial crisis, blah, blah, blah. I mean, clearly he had lost a lot of money in the market or whatnot, but he was angry about losing money because that was when remember when that financial crisis hit and the stock market just plunged. This is like what, 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. And it was. And so the whole interview was about him being angry because of the financial markets.
Wow, awkward.
He just ignored my questions about. So I tried to be professional and let's stick to the topic. That was it. It wasn't traumatic. It was like, I walked out saying, wow, that guy's a dick. And I had a pretty good track record of everyone I met was amazing, right? Because you're meeting someone for 4 minutes. They can be amazing for 4 minutes, right?
Yeah, you hope so.
Yeah. But
Not everyone, but yeah.
In all the time, I'd never really had a bad experience with anyone. It was just, look, like you, in my own way, I don't have the CK zeal.
Whatever.
I don't have that. You have a thing. You use your superpower of charm. I use whatever I got.
We all have a superpower. That's what we do. That's why we're here.
Well, I use whatever I have.
So what you're saying is flirting didn't work with him.
Right. I tried flirting. No, but you're right. Like a little innocuous sort of, flirting when appropriate, I guess. Mm-hmm. But like, just like coming in and just being disarming and, keeping focused on the movie. I don't ask any like uncomfortable personal questions. I've seen people get kicked out because they've asked like really bizarre personal questions of people. It's usually the foreign correspondents.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had that situation where you ask a question that is 100% about the film and then the publicist walks in and goes, no personal questions? It's like,
yeah, that's never happened to me.
Like, what was it like working with so-and-so? You consider that a personal
Right.
question? Okay. I'm not really
there's
sure
more
where
to that
I'm supposed
story
go
than
with
you
that.
know, I guess.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who, but someone tried to steal some of my questions once. Because I tried.
So sorry. How many times do I have to apologize?
No, it's just like I try to be clever and it's whatever. And I had someone try to, that was ridiculous. Okay,
Wow.
Next story.
Wow.
Let's get back to Fetish Factory. Fetish Factory and so you made the film, and like, what is that like as an independent filmmaker when you had like the Beans, Michael Biehn,
Yep.
The Beans.
a legend.
Are you allowed to refer to him as the Beans?
The Beans. Executive produce, I assume they
yes.
put up the funding and whatnot.
Right.
And
Yeah, there was one other executive producer as well who's financed quite a few of their films. But I actually met them through sort of doing what you're doing here. I was doing a podcast, which was on camera, called Inside Horror. And I interviewed Michael and Jennifer because they were in a film together. And for whatever reason, Jennifer kind of took a shine to me. Maybe I was flirting. I don't know. And so, yes. And so anyway, she contacted me like months later out of the blue and said, oh, hey, do you direct? And I was like, well, yeah, I had directed a couple of short films, but very arty, Maya Deren, experimental, pretty movies, little short films, nothing like a horror movie or a feature at all. And so I sent her my reel, and then I didn't hear back again for months. And then out of the blue, she goes, hey, you want to direct a movie in a couple months? So I wrote
awesome
the script in like 3 days.
Wow.
And we shot for 5 days, and here we are.
Well, what's the process of, you sent the movie to film festivals, so what was the release process for it? And as any filmmaker, you have to be involved with all of those aspects.
To a degree. Luckily, I'm not involved with the technical deliverables or the financial side of it. It really was basically a hired hand paid to write and direct, and I hopefully will have some, profits, but... so that part really isn't in my wheelhouse, but I did spearhead it at a couple of film festivals in LA just so that the cast could come and see it on the big screen. And so, we had a few big screen showings, and now it's on Amazon Prime, and then it's going to platform out to Hulu and Google Play and Blu-ray and all that in the coming months.
Oh, wow. Well,
it's everywhere.
You have to get the poster for this movie is awesome. such a great. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
my
so great.
boyfriend, Aaron Kai, actually designed that poster.
Oh, wow.
It's a grindhouse, style poster, like 70s throwback, which I feel like the film is also that. And he's even in the film. See, I said I cast, everyone I know and love in that
Got
movie.
his sick karate moves.
Yes, he is Kung Fu Zombie in the movie.
So good. He's a fantastic artist, by the way. If anybody,
Yeah, really. He does.
his art is
photorealistic.
so ridiculously perfect.
Oh,
It's,
wow.
and he does. Some of his work I love. He does the back of leather jackets. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Like the Sin City one, he does that. He has
Oh,
that
yeah.
one. Oh my god,
That's
It's just-
amazing.
Anyway, yeah, you guys.
Except for Bruce Willis, we'll just cross him out.
Well, I know something. I know something about how Amazon works. Like as indie filmmaker, you get paid. I think it's like pennies, but it's all your combined.
Well, hey, yeah, if people just
views.
watch it even for a few minutes, you still get some money. It's like the same with the books, on Kindle. If people download a sample of your book just to preview it, as much as they've read, you get a few pennies from that too. So
wow.
I didn't know
it
that.
all
That's
counts.
cool.
Yeah.
So everyone listening to this podcast,
just download the sample.
go to Amazon Prime. Just put on Fetish Factory. Just have it playing in the back. If you're not going to watch it, just play it in the background.
I
and watch it
guarantee
over
you'll
and over.
end up sitting
please.
down and
Yeah,
watching
you
it.
have to watch
Guarantee
it.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
But I know I've had friends who are indie filmmakers who put their stuff on Amazon. I feel like they're always looking for new ways to kind of pay less money to
Oh,
indie
totally.
filmmakers.
Yeah, it's really changed. The price tiering has changed for authors and filmmakers
Yeah.
to the detriment for all of us. But, we got to be out there and just keep putting things out, and eventually something's got to pay off, at least Starbucks.
Yeah,
The only downside of that is that there is such a flood to the market now. Because it's so
true.
easy to make films now.
Yeah, it's a
so
double-edged
easy
sword,
to
for sure.
produce content that now everyone's doing it. And so but the sad part is that it's harder to find cool stuff.
Right.
Because there's so much stuff. You go through even Netflix, it's like, I have no idea. Half of these films, you've never heard of them. Like, where did this come from? How did Bruce Willis make 87 movies last year? You've never heard of any of them.
Right.
No, there is definitely a flood of content, but I do think it's you just have to be discerning. It's really like I don't know. It's hard for me to binge watch something because it's a commitment. It's a commitment. If you're going to binge watch a new show and you're going to commit to it, obviously you didn't commit to Walking Dead Beyond season 2, and you were smart to break off that relationship early, I think.
I just got bored.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's really unwatchable now, but really is a commitment. You really want to see it. I think probably the most perfect series has to be something like Breaking Bad. It ended at its height, and I feel like maybe that's the problem with the content. There's just when there's so much of it, do we really need 9 seasons of this thing or 11 seasons? And I'll discover a show where I'm like, this has been on for 7 years.
Yeah, I'm watching The Americans, and how many times can they keep spying on the same people over and over and over again? It's really
Right.
definitely at the end of its life, and I think it is. I'm on the final season and happy to be there.
The thing that I think is so special about Breaking Bad, though, above and beyond it just being so well made and crafted, is that you can tell that all of the cast members love doing that show.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
love being together, and you never hear any animosity, and it's always about them. And how often do you see Bryan and Aaron get together and do things together just for fun, or just like to promote the show or whatever it is, like when those things are so palpable and so obvious, it just makes watching it as an audience member even more better.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's because, when you're a fan of it, you're a fan of those actors beyond that work. And Bryan Cranston, just having heard interviews with him, he did a great interview on Stern, his just early acting. And
Oh, he's great. He has a book
he's
too.
awesome.
Not to promote someone else's book, but he has a great memoir as well.
This podcast is too much homework. To watch Fetish Factory, you have to read your books.
There's 3 books.
There's 3 books to read. But now, so Carrie, I want to ask you, what have you been doing since Attack of the Show ended? This is like the last time we saw each other, which I'm not sure if you were at that final show. Were you at that final taping?
No, I think I was in New York already.
Okay, so you were already in New York doing, but like what? So like I haven't seen you. I know you got the book because I saw the book. I was so excited. And then whenever I see you pop up, but so are you still doing the New York gig? Is that a thing? Is that you're doing No Good TV still, or?
Well, No Good TV kind of turned into a production company more so, but
that's cool.
I have actually been following her lead. I just shot principal photography for my first short film.
Congratulations!
Yay.
Wait, I have two directors on the two.
Yeah, there was a story that I had thought of probably about 5 years ago, and it was based around Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. I get so excited every time Halloween comes up, and then I had this idea, and every year, right around September, I would go, I should have been working on that all year because it really has to be filmed in October. And this year was yet another year in September where I was like, God damn it, I really should have been working on this. And I just happened to be talking to a movie producer friend of mine, and he was like, well, what exactly do you need to get this whole thing done? And I said, everything. Like, I don't have anything. And he said, well, if I can help you with equipment and a crew, DP, do you think that you could get it all together? I said, well, yep, let me see. So I sat over the weekend, and in 2 days I wrote this script because I already knew. It was like, it was so visually already there in my head. It was easy to put down on paper. And I worked out what I needed, and we found a location, and we had 2 locations, and I already had the cast already figured out, and everybody happened to be available. We picked a weekend, and we shot it at the end of October, and that was it. We shot in 2 days.
Wow, fantastic.
And it all just came together, and in the whirlwind of everything, I'm thinking, this is not how it's not supposed to be this easy.
Yes,
So-
it is.
Is it? Like, is that what
You should
happens
definitely enjoy whatever you're doing, and it should not be difficult.
So it felt like a labor of love to me.
Yeah,
like there was
exactly.
as much as there were complications and whatever, it was just like, whatever, we'll figure it out.
Yes.
Keep it moving. Like my cast was, by the way, I did a couple of things that everyone says you're never ever supposed to do. I worked with all kids, pretty much, which was great, actually. I mean, it took me a second to sort of figure out that like kids get tired and bored, so there's that. And then we used it. We had a drone shot, which was complicated. We were running out of time. It was the last shot of the day.
Oh, of
whatever.
course, yeah.
And we had zero budget, and I mean, so just all the things that you're not supposed to do, I did, and it worked. So now I'm editing, and it's really exciting, and I can't wait.
So when can we see your short?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't really have a schedule. I didn't really put any pressure on myself because it's not like someone's waiting there trying to give me a check or anything. It was just a labor of love. So I'll get to it. I'll finish it when I finish it. And when I feel like it needs to be seen, it'll be seen.
What's the name of it?
It's called Punkin.
Ah,
Pumpkin. I'll bet there's going to be some cute aspect to it.
It's cute, but it's also not cute at all.
Carrie has a very dark sense of humor.
Oh, good.
But this one, it's basically Halloween from the pumpkin's perspective. And I realized that over the years, like, no one's ever done that.
Oh my God, that's a brilliant idea. It's also, I can already, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's real cute until it's not.
Oh my, this is, okay, when you finish
let you
it,
know,
will you
yeah.
share it so I can, I'll blast it on social media so people know. And,
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I mean, it's basically the exact opposite of Fetish Factory. There's little kids and gore, and this is,
Well, there's something for
Sexy
everyone
green.
here.
Has this made you want to pursue directing more? Is this?
So I produced a music video last year, and I think that actually spawned this more than anything. I had sort of a vision for what I thought the music video should be, and I put the crew together, and we had a very small budget and a very limited amount of time, and just seeing it all come together, it gets your juices flowing, and I got really excited about that process. I really like being behind the camera. That part's really fun for me. It's always been where I wanted to be, but I ended up being in front of the camera, and I don't know, I'm sick of being in a makeup chair. So like just being able to throw my hair in a ponytail and go, okay, let's do something. And like that part's really cool. So last year was, I think, really the spark. And then this year I was like, well, I made that. I can definitely make this. Like, it's not that different. And the fun part about this is that it was all my creative, so.
Wow. So, and yeah, you wrote it and
wrote it, yeah, created it, yeah. Everything produced it.
I mean, really, this is hopefully because there's been a lot, spoken about this in the media and on social media, women directors finally getting their due, right? Because it's like, look, it's the directing as a profession has mostly been penis Americans. Let's be honest, guys. It's not even close to being,
Well, the one thing that I keep hearing over and over again over the last year probably is guys or producers saying, well, there just aren't enough women out there trying to do it. And it's like,
right, yeah. After Jason Blum, remember the big Jason Blum thing? So I registered 2 websites, womeninhorror.com and womenhorrordirectors.com. And so my goal next year is to really get those sites up and running and to give female filmmakers forums. So, we'll have to get you in there now, Carrie.
That's great.
Yes.
Can I make a prediction, though?
Please.
We're going to see a lot of movies made by women in the future.
I like
and I
that.
think that
You think?
Finally, here's what's going to happen, and I want to declare this because I want there to be some pushback about a thing that I predict is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of movies made by women, and there are going to be some bad movies.
Of course, but that's
there's bad movies made by men every day.
That's my point. There's bad movies from male directors, tons of them, and there will be some bad films directed by women. But here's this is the thing to watch out for, is what people are going to say is, see, women can't direct because that movie bombed, that one case. And so that's where the pushback is.
I dare someone to come out and say that.
Yes, well, but
right now, not the time to be criticizing everyone. You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is
There's going to be some really shit movies that come out in the next few years.
Yeah.
And they're going to be made by people.
They'll be this is just sort of the thing that I'm someone that I don't like all the identity politics. I think it's corrosive and divisive. And I had my family's not all white. I just through marriage there's I have a stepbrother who's half black. He's also has Down syndrome. I grew up around diversity, so I don't even think about it. And I feel like we never talked about it enough. Now I feel like maybe we're talking about it too much, in the sense that there's a lot of pushback in film criticism about, like, there's not enough, there are too many old white guys. And that I agree. I didn't like that growing up. When I was a kid, I used to read Pauline Kael, was my favorite film critic. She was older than me. She was a woman, didn't give a shit. Loved her words. I mean, I grew up reading her. She was the most, she made me look more deeply at movies. I mean, I want to say Ebert was a hero, but that was later on. When I read about film, I'd read Pauline Kael.
Right. Well,
now I think there's too much of I think the whole thing about a movie is that you are able to, a movie or a book, you can identify with someone who isn't you, whether they're female. Sigourney Weaver in Alien, one of my favorite, I just love her in that. I love her character, right? Whether it's ethnicity or gender or whatever, I think the whole point of a movie is that you can see through someone else's eyes. And
I think you're 100% correct. Unfortunately, I think that you're a minority in the world at the moment. Where
that's
you're so
true.
Open and sort of,
That's
you don't
true,
think
yeah.
about it because it never affected you.
Well, I also grew up watching, my mom was very much a cinephile, and I watched foreign films as a kid growing up. So I didn't think, yes, there is. And the thing I'll say is, I think we at least care a little more about diversity, right? In filmmaking today, we want to have representation. That is finally a breath of fresh air. And the first TV show to really do it, you could say Star Trek was the first, but Star Trek was not considered a success in its time. Lost with the show. I remember going to some TV critics event where they talked about that they had underrepresented in the Nielsen ratings many ethnic groups, and Lost changed all of that. That those groups were better, and realized oh wow, people buy. I mean, there's a Korean couple that speaks in Korean in Lost. People don't understand how groundbreaking that show was. People only remember that the conclusion was unsatisfying, but that
Yes, it was.
Yeah, but the show itself changed a lot of things. Anyways, I'm just saying that it's about time. And I'm excited. I didn't know that you were. I just invited you on because you're in Fetish Factory, and also we haven't seen each other in years.
Thanks,
but that is so cool. You have to direct. You have to do a feature next.
Well, we'll see. Let's see how this one goes. I have a lot of work to do on it.
You better send it to me.
I will.
I want
Of course
to. I want to
will.
see it.
I'll have a big screening for you guys.
Okay.
Please,
Definitely,
please.
I'll be
It'll
there.
fun.
Yeah, cool. Now, Staci, you have a new project. Can you talk about this documentary that you're working on? Because it's very personal, and I think I would just love to be the first podcast. So many firsts on this episode for you to discuss this.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned before, my father is a musician, and he is the founder of the group The Ventures, which was they're identified with 60s surf music, but really they've endured. They're still actually touring. It's going to be their 60th anniversary next year.
Wow.
Right?
How cool.
Yeah. So I'm making a documentary about them. It's surprisingly, there's never been a documentary made about the Ventures, even though they had hits with Hawaii Five-0 and Wipeout and Pipeline and Walk Don't Run, and they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and their longevity, they've never broken up throughout, since 1959. So my dad did retire from touring a couple of years ago, but he's still, in the band. He records with them. So it's a pretty great endeavor to have. And we recently interviewed Billy Bob Thornton a couple of weeks ago because he recorded an album with the Ventures. It's kind of a lost Billy Bob album.
How cool is
He
that?
did that several years ago, but it was never released. So he was saying, I want to release that someday. So, and we have John Fogerty, who inducted them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Whoa.
Randy Bachman from BTO and the Guess Who, and we have Jeff Skunk Baxter from Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers. And we also, speaking of gender diversity, I tried to find as many women as I possibly could to be interviewees for this. So we have the Suffragettes, and we have Pleasant Gelman, who was on the cover of one of their albums. We have a couple of other girl groups that you probably haven't heard of, but they're pretty cool. And also, I tried to get as many younger people as I could, too, because, like I said, it's like older white guy kind of fan base and influence base. But so I think as a female director, I might bring that to the table in this documentary. And it's been quite a long journey, but we're seeing the end of the tunnel now. In fact, we're interviewing 2 women next week, and that'll be our final interviews.
Well, and then you're going to spend the next year editing. Is that
Yeah, I don't want to
probably
talk
what's in
about
the cards? Well, I mean, docs are...
Making a documentary is way different than a narrative film.
Yeah, docs are done when...
It's about discovery.
yeah.
So you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, God, I had a friend recently who was working on a documentary about Ren and Stimpy, and then... and he was finished with the doc. The doc was done. And then all the news about John Kricfalusi blew up in the news. And you can look it up yourselves. We shouldn't divert. I'm already nervous about what I said earlier on the podcast is going to be taken out of context, and I'm going to be I'm going to get a social media lashing. It wouldn't be the first time, but he had to remake the entire doc.
What?
He had to basically go, okay, I made this movie, now I'm just going to completely redo it. So like documentaries, they're just, I've had friends who worked on docs for 10 years. You just don't know. So documentaries are like doing community service. So
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to be doing it again. It's only for my dad.
Yeah, but that's
Believe
great.
me.
About it? Is he
He
happy
sure
that it's
is.
coming
Yeah,
from
he's
you?
very happy. Yeah, and he's really proud of me, which makes me feel good.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
always great to get approval from your parents. And so, yeah, he's happy and excited about it. But
Well, and
yeah.
I bet you're getting a good a group of, all those people that you mentioned, I bet they're happy that it's coming from you as
I think
well.
so. Yeah, I think that is the personal connection is definitely something that people are appreciating. But it's definitely about the music and the Ventures' influence. I'm not in the documentary at all. The family, is not, even though my brother and sister are helping me produce it. So it's going to be a broad appeal documentary for sure.
I'm so excited.
It sounds like something perfect for South by Southwest.
Oh,
As
absolutely.
a music
yeah.
doc.
For sure.
So next year, whenever their deadline is, you got to look at getting
I
that.
have been told I need to do that.
Or, potentially Sundance. Their deadline is early September. So you've got 9 months to edit.
Okay.
That's about how long it takes to birth a documentary,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know. I've never made one before, but
Wow. Well,
Depends on if the narrative changes.
right. Well, you have to come back and talk about it when
I
it's
will.
finished. and I want to hear more. I feel like we don't have enough time to talk about it. There's so many more things I want to talk about. So can you guys come back?
Yeah, of course.
And okay, good.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Are you hosting?
Yes.
Can we do a live broadcast from Jumbo's on Christmas Eve?
Yes. Should I? Well, see, no, they don't let cell phones in there. No pictures.
Oh, damn.
They're
This
really
is not
strict.
a cell phone.
They're really strict. Well, I could record audio, I guess, from Jumbo's. If you guys are there, we'll do a podcast from Jumbo's.
That would be fun.
And it'll be our first new podcast of the new year, 2019.
I love
it. Nice.
Well, thank you so much for doing the Film Threat podcast and
I don't know when
trusting
this
me.
thing is going to air, but just so everybody
next
knows,
couple-
I'm hosting the Gamers' Choice Awards. It's
Oh, you are?
It's on CBS. It's on December 9th.
Oh.
So it's sort of in that G4
I'll
happy place.
I'll post it before. So
Awesome.
December 9th, your Gamers' Choice Awards.
On CBS, yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's
Yes.
great.
I mean,
Carrie.
congratulations to all the award winners.
Yeah.
Will you be wearing your bullet bra from
I
Fetish
mean,
Factory?
maybe it's either that or the power bra.
And for everyone listening, where can we find you guys on social media?
I'm at Carrie Keagan on everything.
Yeah, pretty much Staci Layne or Staci Wilson everywhere.
And Film Threat everywhere, and that Chris Gore everywhere. Thank you guys for being
good
on.
to see you.
Yeah, it's so good to
thanks.
see you. This is good. We're gonna have a conversation after this podcast ends that I'm gonna regret that I didn't record.
Probably.
That's how this ends.
Hollywood. Some call it the Boulevard of Broken Dreams and Broken Hearts. Some call it home. Welcome to the Fetish Factory, where all of your fantasies come true, and so do your worst nightmares. Meet the beautiful girls, Betty, Jane, Rosie, Tristan, and Susie. Meet the desperate men, Lipstick,
We go out there and kick some ass.
the Flasher, Footman, and Whipping Boy. And now meet the zombies. At the Fetish Factory, it's survival of the foxiest. Carrie Keagan, Chase Williamson, and Jennifer Block. Fetish Factory, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.